Book talk.
All right, I'm here with Dr. Rebecca Maldonado. We'll probably just call you Becca if that's okay.
Yeah.
And to start off with, who are you and what do you do?
Well, I am a newly minted PhD. I just defended my dissertation last month.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It feels really great. It was a lot of work, and I'm excited to be done with it. My PhD focused mostly on termites, especially Australian termites, and so I'm really interested in. Well, I love insects, number one, and I love learning about like why are there so many different kinds of insects, just insect diversity in general. And then one question that I'm really interested in is why do you find insects where you find them? And so, for example, like I'm especially focused on like why is there a unique pattern of which termites are in Australia? And so that's the focus of my dissertation. But yeah, I'm an insect person. I really like learning about insects and making other people try and like insects too. So.
All right. How long have you been an insect person?
I'd like this question because I think people assume if you're an insect person, you are always an insect person. But I didn't come into insects really until college. So I'd had like a few insect experiences as a kid where I mean, we did like a roly-poly activity one time in elementary school or something, and we always had like a family garden, and so I was in charge of squishing a lot of bad insects as a kid or something. But really, it wasn't until I was in like my sophomore year in college when I took a class with an insect professor, and then I was like, this is amazing. And then I kind of got hooked. So I guess now it's been probably almost 10 years, probably 10 years. Yeah, that I've been doing insects, and it's really fun. I've met a lot of fun people and a lot of fun insects too.
All right. Yeah, and just a little background, we both went to the same college for undergrads, and I'm assuming you took entomology from Dr. Nelson. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I just took biology from him. And then in his biology class, we did a lot of entomology. And then I joined his lab. And that was where I got into insects.
All right. So he is an entomologist might say he helped you see the light.
I think so. Or he gave me my sense of wonder about insects, I think. So.
Okay. So you just finished your PhD. What are your next steps?
Yeah, so I actually just accepted a really awesome postdoc offer. So usually after you do your PhD, there are these little 2-year stint jobs that you can get. And this one is going to be actually in aphid evolution. And so it'll be working with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, but I'll be stationed at the Smithsonian Natural History Museum. So I'm very excited about this
very cool.
new opportunity. I guess I'm going from one little pest species to another pest group. So.
Okay. And so I guess let's talk about termites for a little bit. So you mentioned you say termites. I guess to the average person, a termite is something that you need to get rid of because it's going to make your house fall down. But obviously there's a lot more. So what about termites kind of drew you to them?
Yeah, I actually came across termites in a very fun way. I hadn't really thought much about termites before my PhD. I actually started my PhD thinking I would do a different insect group, but then I was approached by this professor and she said, hey, we're going to Australia and we would love having like an insect person who can look at the termites. And so I'm really interested in the termites in the context of decomposition and sort of how they affect larger ecosystems. So our group is really interested in, so when wood or other substrates like die, then if they just sit there, then it would be a terrible world. But instead we have all of these decay agents that come in and start breaking down the materials, right? And so some of these are microbes, or fungi is a really important decay agent, but actually termites are like surprisingly important in this decomposition process. And so when I first started learning about termites, I thought it was really neat that like they're these really tiny animals, but they have this large effect on ecosystems. In fact, in terms of biomass, termites are actually there's almost as much mass of termites on the planet as there are as humans. And I think this comes as a surprise to people because when we're here in North America, we don't often come across termites, but in tropical regions,
Yeah.
there's just so much biomass of termites, and they're doing these really important things. And so I think this is sort of one thing that really drew me to termites, was the fact that we have all these really tiny animals and they're doing such big important things. So
Okay. Yeah.
also
That's
also
really
as a side
interesting.
note, we just have to put this in there that yeah, termites get a really bad rap because they're pests or something, but actually only about 100 species of termites are pests, whereas there are like 3,000 total species of termites. So a very small percentage of termites are actually the ones that we would say, ugh, they're breaking down our houses or eating our crops. And well, like there are still a lot of bad termites, and if you have termites in your house, you'll know that this is terrible. But I just got to stand up for these termites and say they're not all bad, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I did not know much about termites until recently. I was reading about them. I was like, whoa, these are actually pretty cool.
Yeah, there's so many cool things about termites. They're these eusocial creatures. They call them superorganisms because they, like, there's kings and queens and workers and soldiers, and neither one of these different castes can survive alone on their own without the entire colony. So I think a lot of people study termites in the context of like their sociality and trying to understand what does it take to live together in this situation. Termites are also really fun because they are builders, and they build these huge mounds that can be stories high, and I think that's pretty cool. And I also just think, yeah, I think they another really cool thing about them is they have this really diverse community of microbes living in their guts. And so a lot of people have studied like what is it about their guts that lets them be able to digest all of these substrates like wood or soil or yeah. So lots of fun,
Yeah,
interesting
lots of cool
things about
stuff there.
termites.
Yeah. So for your postdoc, you're moving over to aphids. And so throughout my life, I have not met many entomologists. It's probably like a smaller community as far as professions go. Um, how much choice do you have in what you study? Like, is the aphids, do you also like them? Is it more it's a good job and you happen to be studying aphids? Um, like, how does that work if you're in entomology? How much choice do you have in what you can study?
Yeah, um I think it really depends on the group. So if you're studying something like bees, there are tons of different bee researchers, um, groups all over the country or all over the world who are focused on bees. I think another big group is like beetles. There are tons of different researchers studying beetles in a bunch of different contexts. Um, Termites, even though there are like 3,000 species of termites, there are like, that's actually like a really small, like termites is not even its own order anymore. Termites are actually just specialized cockroaches. And so a lot of the people who study termites study them in the context of, yeah, how do we figure out better ways to kill the pest species? Which is really important research to be doing because they have great economic importance. But for me, I guess I didn't want to go exactly down that route. And so I did look at, I did talk to a few different termite people. I think what really drew me to the aphid position was that it's working with the U.S. Department of Agriculture. I think because I've been living in Washington, D.C. these past few years, I've gotten really interested in these like government positions where you can be doing really cool research, but also sort of be directed by like these things that are important for like the country or the world. And so I think, I'm interested in getting this experience working in a USDA position. I think that there's a lot of, I don't know. I have been sort of on this cusp of, there are these academic positions that generally are very competitive, and you're doing really cool research, but sometimes they don't pay as well, and you have to like just be in the system for a really long time. Or there are these industry positions where you can maybe get paid a little more, but not be doing like as fun or as cool of research. There's still a lot of cool research that happens on the industry side. So I think during the end of my PhD, I was sitting with this position of which route do I go? Do I stay in academia and try to end up as a professor with my own lab someday, or do I go work for a business and try and be part of one of these corporations? And so I think that like this government position really seems like a nice mix of maybe industry and academia. Government is maybe somewhere in the middle. And I think the other important thing is that the colleague that I'll be working with, my postdoc advisor, will be he's someone who worked in my lab before I came on, and so all of the people that are in my lab have told me like, oh, this is a really good person to work with. And for me, I'm also like, I love insects, but I know that your experience can be made or broken by the people that you work with. And so I'm very excited about this opportunity because I think it will be working with someone really fun. So
okay, yeah, very exciting. Congrats on finding a postdoc position. I know there's always the stress of finishing your PhD, but then you have to like have the stress of finding where to go next.
Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't seem fair that it happens at the same time.
All right. So would you say termites are your favorite bugs, or do you have a different insect that you like the best?
I think this is kind of a difficult question because the thing about termites that was a little bit hard for me at the beginning is that termites are generally not thought of as the cutest insects. They don't have flashy patterns. They don't have, and they're even like soft bodies. And you see like termite queens and they literally just look like these giant sausages. And I don't know, like they're not like, as I've moved through my PhD and looked at them more up close, like I have been able to see like, oh, these termites are actually pretty cute and they are like really, really cool. But I don't know that I would say that they're my favorite. Like they're probably like one of my favorites. The insect that really converted me to entomology was dragonflies. So during my undergraduate research, I did some dragonfly research in the rainforest in Brazil, and I think being there and seeing the dragonflies in the rainforest was what really showed me, wow, this is what I want to be doing for the rest of my life. So
okay, very cool.
So I think I'll always have a deep love for dragonflies, even though I probably know more and I'm more familiar with termites. And who knows where aphids will fall in there in the mix as well. I don't know. Maybe they're cute too. I don't know.
Yeah. So kind of talking about like cute bugs versus not cute bugs. When you tell people what you do, are their reactions positive, negative, and does that ever make it hard to study entomology? Because I know lots of people don't like bugs. Is that ever like an issue?
I think one thing that's sometimes discouraging is that people don't really understand why it's important. Like I'll tell people, oh yes, I'm studying Australian termites and we're sitting here in the middle of a COVID pandemic, or we have all of these other terrible things happening, and people are like, why are you like thinking about or caring about like these insects in a different continent. Like, why is that even important? And I think I've like, I don't know, like if people are like disgusted by bugs, like I feel like that's a little bit like, I kind of like being in that position more, because I think like people, like I love being able to show people like this isn't a cool, like bugs aren't gross, they're like cool. I love doing, I love taking kids out to look at bugs, and there've been like a different one time I took a group of girls that were probably between like 8 and 10 years old out, and we just collected bugs, and it was really fun to see that they were just super excited about collecting different bugs, and they all brought them to show me and were like, look at this, and we were all like, this is really cool. Because I think once you get a little bit older than that, like I think especially for girls, it's not cool to like bugs, and it's much more cooler to think that bugs are gross. And so I think like I hope that people will like see me and have me like every time someone says, oh, watch out, like I'm really scared of a bug, I'll try and respond with something that's like, oh no, this is like a really neat insect, or something, so that they can at least get like a little of that other perspective about how you can look at bugs. I don't know what to do about the people who don't think that insects are important. Like I think there are so many different reasons why insects are important, and we rely on them, and we see like when we get rid of them, we are having bad things happen. And I think more people are understanding the importance of insects, which I really appreciate. And I hope that I can be a little part of helping people realize that this is like insects are important for humans as well, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and they're usually like a few steps removed. Like doctors are important because like I'll go to the doctor, my grandma will see a doctor. That's easy to see, but yeah, insects, it's hard for people to kind of see why.
Yeah.
So, do you have a favorite insect story?
I think my favorite insect story is probably um maybe not so much about the insects as about the journey to get to the insects. So um before my PhD, I'd never been to Australia, and the first time I went to Australia, it was during the dry season, and it was in North Queensland, which is tropical. So during the dry season, it was like 70-degree weather every single day. It like didn't rain very often, and it was just the most pleasant termite collecting experience like ever. So this was where I was like first exploring. So I would open up pieces of wood. I would look at the termites in different termite mounds and try and sort of understand. Like I was just getting my foothold as we were setting up this experiment with termites. And so I just had this lovely month of field season where we had perfect weather the entire time. So then 6 months later, I went back to Australia again, but it was no longer the dry season. In fact, it was like in the transition period between dry and wet season. And so here I am, I'm trying to do my termite field work. And the first week that we get there, it is a heat wave. And so I'm out there with the world's termite expert who is from, like, he flew in from London from the Natural History Museum to be there. And we're setting up this experiment together in 115-degree heat. And it was literally like we would go out and we would collect termites for like 15 minutes, and then we'd have to go back to the car and be in the AC for a few minutes. And this heat wave was really, really terrible, but it also led to like wildfires in our sites. And so we were like terrified, and we were really worried, are these plots that we've set up getting burned down? And like we had to delay our plans a little bit because of the wildfires. And then the next week was when the switch happened from the dry season to the wet season. And so the next week we had these torrential downpours, like rain that I've never experienced before. And we would, it was like very difficult. We would wait for the rain to stop for a few minutes before we would try and go out to our sites. Or we would just be collecting in the rain when we could. We were it was part of something called a zombie cyclone, which basically, so there's this big tropical storm that blows in and you think it's going to die, but then it actually comes back the opposite direction. So here we were with this zombie cyclone. We had these torrential downpours. We get to one of our sites, which is in a rainforest area, and there's actually like a landslide that happens across the road, so we can't get back to our other sites, and we're just stuck here for a few days in one of our sites. And then another one of our sites, we try to go out to, and like the river has flooded over, so we can't cross to get to our other sites. And so I don't know, I just feel like this was like a field season of biblical proportions, where we just had, we had fire, we had flood, we had landslide, we had rain, we had heat, and I guess it was rough. And it's just, I guess, interesting to think about. Here we were just trying to collect termites in the middle of all of it. And so that's probably my best insect story.
All right. So moral of the story, entomology is not for the faint of heart.
Well, I think it's sort of like, that's people's experiences with insects, and people's experiences in general are probably so dependent on the weather that they experience insects in, or the people that they're around. Like a lot of people, I think one reason like that insects have a bad reputation is because when people experience insects, it's either so many mosquitoes trying to bite me, it's or getting like a bee sting, or having cockroaches in their house, or having termites in their house. And I think that these kind of circumstances are really, really stressful. And if that's the only experience that you have to experience insects, if that was my only experience with termites, I'm pretty sure I would be done and choosing a different career. But fortunately, I've had many other positive insect experiences, and so
that's good.
Yeah.
If you were to go back to your past self, what piece of advice would you give before starting your journey in entomology?
I think that's an interesting question, because I think sometimes I've seen other people in their paths in entomology or other directions, and I see, wow, you have such a straightforward path, where I do feel like my path to entomology has just sort of been like a little dot to dot experience, where I was here and I realized I didn't want to do this, and so I went here, and then I saw this really cool thing, and then I went here, and then and so I feel like I think a lot of people have the same experience, where you're not necessarily going from point A to point B, but in the end you can sort of see your trajectory. For me, if I had I don't know that there's anything that I would really change, but I will say that before I went into entomology, there was like a piece of advice that my dad gave me. I was studying chemical engineering because I wanted to try and help the planet a little bit. I thought maybe I could, if I got a job doing something, working for like a gas company or something, I could fix how I could find a way to like extract CO2 from the environment, stop global warming, and make the world a better place. But I took these engineering classes and I didn't really enjoy them. And my dad had a conversation with me where he said that you should never waste a year of your life, because if you, like, how do you know that you're not working towards something that you're actually not going to enjoy. Because I was telling myself, oh, only 4 more years of doing this stuff that I don't really like, and then I'll get to a job that I really like. And I think if I would have done that, like, it's possible that I would have learned to love engineering in that pathway. But for me, I think my entomology journey has really been, I really enjoy learning about insects, and I really enjoy every little step along the way. I have chosen it because it's interesting to me, and I think it is making a difference in some small way. So
Okay. Yeah, that's really good advice. Like, don't waste your time doing something that you don't like.
yeah, and I get that, like, for a lot of people that's not possible. Like, I definitely came from a background where, like, I know that for some people, you go to college and you have to find something so that you can get paid, and I think that's like a perfectly fine life choice, and for some people that is the only choice. I definitely see that I am lucky to be able to choose something just because I really like it.
Yeah.
But if you can find something that you can really like, and I think entomology is actually like a great field, because there are a lot of positions that people are where people will get paid to do entomology. And so
Okay. So if someone wants to kind of follow your path, what should they do as maybe like a high school student or undergraduate student to prepare? Because there aren't many undergraduate programs in entomology. There are some. So, what can like the average person do to kind of prepare to go into entomology?
yeah, I think that's kind of a tricky thing. Yeah, I wasn't in part of an entomology program during my undergraduate degree, and there also wasn't an entomology program during my PhD degree. Um, but I feel like maybe one of the things that has made it easier for me is that I've also tried to develop like computational biology skills along the way. And so a lot of the projects that I've worked on have been focused on understanding like insect DNA and like figuring out their relationships. And I think that like, if you love insects and you have this computation, if you're able to do some sort of programming along with it, then it's going to make you like really, really competitive, because that's like a really valuable skill set. And like, have like understanding insects is also a valuable skill set. And if you can combine those, then I think, yeah. So I think even though, that's what I feel like has really helped me in my success, is that I've also tried to learn different programming and try and pick up some analyses that can be a little difficult.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, it's really interesting. No undergraduate program in entomology, no specific graduate program yet. You're an entomologist.
Yeah,
You found the path.
yeah, and I think, yeah, I imagine that if I would have done an actual entomology program, I would know so much more about probably like, I mean, I have no idea all the things that I have missed out on learning because I haven't done an entomology program, and but yeah, probably just mostly like insect biology. So I think most of what I've picked up has been through like reading papers or just independent learning. So
Okay. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely an undervalued skill, the independent learning.
yeah.
Okay. I have some more frivolous questions.
Oh, great.
Do you have a favorite entomology book or field guide?
Um, No, I don't think I have a favorite entomology book, but I would really, I am kind of one of my goals is that I would really like to write a termite children's book. I feel like if we could get like more insect children's books, then we would, uh, you know, I think termites could be part of a really great children's book. So I do really like, I do like children's books. I love the Big Hungry Caterpillar children's book. But I in terms of like yeah, field guides, I haven't really used a lot of field guides, and I have my termite I have my textbooks. Oh wait, I have actually a great termite book.
Okay.
It's called um I don't remember what it was called, but there's this really awesome uh book about termites and technology and humans that I'll have to send you the title to later.
Okay. Sounds good. Once we get that, I'll add a link with this so everybody can find it. Okay. Do you have a favorite piece of collecting equipment?
I love so in termite collecting, um, I use the back of a one of my favorite pieces of collecting equipment is if you can find like a really good hammer with the pointy side on the back, because that is really great for breaking open wood or different pieces of mounds. I think that's maybe not one. It was interesting when I moved to termites. The other groups that I had really focused on were like flies and dragonflies, and both of those it's using sweep nets or yeah, and so I feel like I got really good at using sweep nets, and here I came to Australia ready to use a sweep net, and that is not how you collect termites. And so I feel like for termites, if you have a really good little hammer, that's great.
Okay. Yeah, I've found that it's pretty easy to kind of get into entomology with really simple stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite piece of collecting equipment right now is I have the chair leg from an old collapsible chair and a kitchen strainer duct taped to the end, and I'll
Oh,
go sweep that through ponds. It costs like $6 to make in materials, and
that's great. Yeah.
that's it. Yeah, a lot of fun DIY stuff you can do. Um, let's see.
Another. Oh, can I guess say another collecting equipment that we've used that's been really fun?
Yeah.
So one thing that I'm really interested in understanding is like the difference between termite mounds. And so when I was in Australia, I noticed that there were like the termite mounds were really different based on like which termite species was building them. And so some of these mounds would be like these massive mounds that were pretty easy to knock into with your little hammer. Another other mounds would just be tiny or like really easy to knock over. And then there were these big termite mounds that would be like really hard that we would have to get like a huge pickaxe to be able to actually break into. And so for one of our projects, I actually collected pieces of termite mounds to measure things like density and water content, and like how much carbon and nitrogen are in the mound material. And so we used like a screwdriver with this little attachment that sort of cut out little cookies from the mounds, and I think that was a really fun piece of equipment that we liked. I think it's called a hole saw.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, very cool. I have going back to more maybe not serious questions, less frivolous maybe. Are there any changes you'd like to see in the field of entomology? It's kind of like a broad, open question, but is there anything that you see where like I wish this was different?
Yeah, I think that I think that entomology could be a lot more of an inclusive space. I think that one of the reasons I decided to get a PhD is because like I had really awesome undergraduate mentors, but all of them were men. And I think entomology is still sort of like a male dominated field. I also feel like it's very like I'm not a person of color, but as like if like I know that it can be not the most inclusive space for people who are not white. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we probably need to do is figure out why is this not a more inclusive open space, and how do we make sure that it can be accessible to as many people as possible.
Okay.
I would also say,
yeah,
I think that if we can, one thing that I really enjoy is working as an entomologist with other fields. So I really like this cross-disciplinary stuff. So I've sort of worked with like some people from biochemistry and some people from ecology and evolution. And I think when you start, so I've worked with people who are looking at ecosystems, and I think you need to include entomology when you look at ecosystems. And so I think being able to look at termites from different perspectives or insects in general from different perspectives is really important.
Yeah, it's definitely not an isolated field.
Yeah.
I get lots of people ask me plant related questions because plants and insects go hand in hand, and I know next to nothing about plants.
Yeah. I feel similarly that they're so interconnected, and it would be good to also pick up on other things as well.
Yeah. Do you have any, I don't know how active you are on social media. Do you have any entomologists you like to follow?
I love entomology Twitter. I think I love that. I think social media can get to be a little bit of an icky place sometimes, and I feel like entomology Twitter, insect Twitter is really fun. Like there's a whole bunch of people who post pictures of insects or other invertebrates, and there are I can't think of anyone specifically. I can send you some of my favorites later, but I do think that Twitter is probably my favorite space for seeing cool bug pictures.
Yeah. I need to get on there more. There's a few people I used to follow. I haven't checked it out lately. Yeah, I think it's through entomology Twitter, because also I'm not like a full-time entomologist or anything right now, but almost all the entomologists I'd worked with in the past were just male as well. And then entomology Twitter was really where I was like, oh, hey, like this is like something that we need to fix a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of following what the accounts, their experiences, what they're saying, what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
So definitely a good place to be. Okay. Do you have any parting words of advice, wisdom, jokes, questions, or anything?
I would just say that there was a BYU professor that once told me this quote about plants, where he said, "Where there is a tree around, you know you have a friend." And I think I would say the same thing about insects, is that, if there's an insect around, you know you have a friend. And I mean, maybe you don't want a friend who's going to suck your blood or destroy your house, but I think it's so fun. Like, I think that insects can be like, there's this really incredible world of insects, and I feel like it's been like a gift to be able to explore a little bit of that. And I think if people are interested in entomology, they should, like, I'm more than welcome. I'm more than happy to like talk more to people or help them figure out places to go or yeah, I think it would. I've really enjoyed my entomology journey, and
All right. Very cool. Yeah, I think I don't know if we'll have people flocking to you, but I know there are people out there that are definitely interested. So where's the best place for people to find you?
I'm on Twitter. My handle is at Dr. Becca's Bugs now, right? Right, because now I'm a doctor, so very excited about that.
All right. I will send people your way when I get questions then.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Yeah, thanks for taking the time. It was a pleasure.